What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I thought I would film a little quick one just talking about a subject that drives me up the wall. I want to say welcome to any new subscribers and thank you to my buddy Josh of ThisGuyTrucks fame for the little this guy bumps. That sounds perverted. You know what I mean. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, he gave me a mention. I don't even know what social media platform he put it on. I don't know if it's YouTube or what, but I got some new people from that. So that's really cool and I really appreciate it. And, you know, Josh has said, and he said in his post that he wants to see more diversity in the trucking community. And I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool because, you know, it is a diverse body of people like anything else. There's probably going to be a whole lot more diversity showing up because people want to make money. And things have been so weird these last couple of years. I think especially, I imagine there might be more people out there like me representing the service industry who are kind of overworking in the service industry who want to do something different and actually make some more steady sort of income. Not that I know trucking might not always be the steadiest thing, but something a little bit more solid, like, you know, jobs with benefits and stuff like that. So I'm sitting here in the corner with my plants and my roommate's plants that I take care of. It might be a little bit noisy. You'll hear my weird heater making those like weird high-pitched sounds you hear. That's the heater. 100-year-old building, yada yada. I say that in like every video because it's winter and those things are going off continuously. Although it's warm today. It's in the 30s and that feels warm when you've gotten used to really cold temperatures. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about how much I fucking hate money and talking about money. And I don't know why exactly I wanted to make a video talking about this. I don't know that this video will be that useful to anybody, but I was watching Josh's video earlier today. I can't remember if he put it up yesterday or today, but he was talking about people getting mad at him because he talks about wanting to make money and like being motivated to drive by money, not motivated to truck by money, not you know, by the love of trucking, and that some people in the trucking community sort of take offense to that sort of thinking. And then he was getting into some other stuff and he was talking about political ideology and like how, you know, there's people in the trucking community that don't represent the same sort of ideology, religious, political ideology that he does, and how he sort of navigates that. I really appreciated the way he talked about it because what I got from what he said was that he doesn't change his views because other people don't like what he thinks. And he doesn't hate people who don't think the way he does. And I wasn't even intending to talk about that specific aspect of like why I fucking hate money in this, but it's just like more present because I just watched that video a little bit ago, a little earlier. But, you know, I know that putting myself out there in the trucking YouTube space is gonna potentially be weird, and partly because I know that my sort of like beliefs and, you know, leanings are not probably representative of a lot of those who are in the trucking community. I want to sort of lead by showing or saying that I think one of the things that's so frustrating is I want to ask anybody watching, like, if do you ever stop and think about how the reason why so many of us are like hating on each other and like hating each other's views and being angry at each other is because there are these huge entities that are making so much money off of us doing that. And it drives me crazy. And I think part of the reason why I think about it a lot and reflect on it a lot is that I come from a family that has sort of opposite leanings to my own. And like, I've changed a lot over the years, but I always was like intrinsically in opposition to a lot of the sort of things that I was taught in childhood. A lot of bigotry, especially, that just always was fucked up to me. I think that having had those sort of conflicting feelings, or like, you know, okay, let me come back to saying this. I think one of the things I try to ponder a lot that I think is interesting is it's possible to hold two conflicting thoughts in your head at the same time. And I think that we live in this society that has funneled us into these opposing groups because it's more lucrative for these large, like, you know, cable news entities and social media and like now even all these corporations where one corporation aligns with this set of beliefs and one aligns with this set of beliefs, and like ultimately all of it is like against us. You know, it's like we are better off, happier, healthier people when we're united. It doesn't make any sense for us to be operating against each other. And it's like this giant fucking distraction. And it's really frustrating because, and the other thing too is that if you're talking to someone through a screen, it's like that screen courage where people talk shit to each other and say really mean things that they would never say in real life. Tangent. Now at least I'll tell you when I'm about to go on a tangent. I just think this is hilarious. I don't know why this made me laugh so hard, but like, for example, this isn't even on the subject, okay? It's just talking about like internet courage. But like, I follow on Instagram this page called Chicago Creature, and it just has weird videos of like stupid shit people are doing in Chicago. A lot of times it's people doing things when they're drunk or whatever. I don't even know how I ended up following that channel, but I live in Chicago, so I guess for whatever reason I thought it'd be interesting. And someone posted a video of a SUV going up the top level of like the ramp and the top level of a parking garage, and it looked just like the parking garage that I use all the time downtown when I work downtown. And the SUV was like sliding backwards because it was so icy, and so people were putting all these comments in there, and I just decided to comment, partly because it looked like such a familiar place, and I was like, I hate to be one of those people, but I gotta say, man, the Subaru is such a lifesaver this time of year, you know? And that was one of the main reasons I got a Subaru after I had a car before that I really loved, but it was like 13 years old and falling apart. I had to get another car. So I got a Subaru, and in the winter, it's like, and it's a fucking miracle to have all-wheel drive in Chicago in the winter. It's the best, especially if you have to parallel park. Anyway, holy shit, tangent within a tangent. Anyway, someone commented, someone with a private profile with no profile picture, just a generic image as their profile picture, said, I'm sorry, it just made me laugh. They said, Subarus are hideous and so are you. And at first I thought, they are kind of ugly, like a lot of them. I mean, I don't have it for looks, but also I was like, I don't know why. It's like, it struck me as almost like the person was trying to be funny, and it made me laugh. And I was not at all offended because I don't think I'm hideous, and you know, if someone else does, that's fine. I don't give a shit, you know what I mean? But it was just like, it's so weird. People will say crazy ass shit on the internet because the other person can't physically see them saying it. And this is this concludes my tangent. My long-winded tangent, but I was kind of, the reason I got on the tangent was like the idea that if you're talking to people face to face, you're not going to say the same shit that you're going to say on the internet. Now, things are probably the worst they've ever been in a lot of ways in terms of like the level of vitriol, the level of like rage and anger, and it's like it's been building up for, you know, 400 years or so. And it really sucks, and it's just like, you know, I can't not start a YouTube channel in a largely conservative space without thinking about, I mean the trucker space, because I think it is mostly like, you know, a lot of conservative men. So it's a space that might not be as welcoming to someone like me, but I want people to be open to each other and not hate each other because their views might be different, because like, what the fuck does that accomplish? This whole video is supposed to be about money, and like, that is a really important point though. Like, so much of the reason why we have like grown to hate each other, or like, you know, you can't, you know, the cancel culture thing, and I hate that fucking phrase. You can't like somebody because they disagree with you, or like, it's all bullshit, and it's all like contrived, and like, it's been growing over the recent years, and the whole point is to make money off of us fucking being in this turmoil, and I hate it, and it's unnecessary. And like, there's people I disagree with who I also love. You know, like one of my best friends is a pretty conservative dude, and I love him so much. And like, we disagree on certain things, and sometimes it might get on my nerves, but I love him anyway. And I recognize, like, you know, I think having grown up in a family where the views and the sort of, I keep saying the word leanings because I feel like it's an easy sort of general term, but like growing up in a family like that has helped me have more understanding for people who have those types of leanings, because it doesn't make somebody okay, let me just back up. The reason why so many of us think the way we do comes down to like fear, and it's like underneath anger is other emotions, and we're all just trying to survive. We're all just trying to make enough money to survive. And we all are living in a crafted set of circumstances that were built over generations by very wealthy people to make us all fight each other over the fucking crumbs. And that's what really gets to me, because it's just all unnecessary. And, you know, we don't need to hate each other. We have to try to understand that all of us are just in our own place of struggle, and that's how it manifests, is like, well, externalizing it and hating someone else and blaming them for the things that you're struggling with when it's not their fault. It's just not. That's a long-winded rant. I don't know. I just hope that if I encounter people out there who have different views from me, I hope we can find a way to be respectful toward each other, because that's the only way to be. You don't need to hate people because they don't agree with you. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel negativity towards strangers. That makes no sense. It's not rational. But as far as what I originally set out to talk about today, which is fucking hating money. You notice every time I have to throw the F-bomb in there, because that's just how I just for extra added emphasis, I fucking hate talking about money, and I hate thinking about money, and I fucking hate money. I don't want to give a whole history. I'm not trying to make this a long video, but basically, you know, growing up in what I think of as intermittent poverty, I've experienced some really tough situations growing up, experienced, thankfully, briefly, childhood hunger, and like, you know, being the kid on the free lunch, and being in an environment with a dad who was really outspoken in his like hatred and resentment of wealthy people. And now I have a better understanding of where a lot of that came from, and I mirror some of those thoughts toward certain branches of wealth. But like, this thing is on a swivel here. I wasn't really trying to talk about like my whole childhood, but just to sort of like paint the picture that I've never really been a person of means. And when I went into college, I was kind of on my own. Like, my parents weren't really very involved. They were not at all involved financially. So I had this belief, it was the late 90s, and I had this belief that I had to get a college degree in order to get a job. So not going to college wasn't even an option in my mind. I was always sort of making these cynical jokes about student loan debt, and just under the mindset that like, you have to go into debt. Like, that's just what you do. And that was a really common theme. And it's interesting now to hear so many people being so mad about student loan debt that they have, and other groups who didn't go to college, who did like more blue collar jobs or trade schools or whatever they did, have a lot of like frustration about the idea of like, we shouldn't pay for other people's student loan debt. And I have empathy for where that sentiment too. And it's a really difficult thing. But I ended up with all this debt. Just now, going into trucking, a huge motivator for me, or a primary motivation for me, is to get out of student loan debt. And I understand that, you know, if I live in the truck and I'm not paying rent and don't have a car payment for a period of time, that money can all be diverted to student loans. And now seems like obviously a great time to get into trucking, because there's a lot of money to be made. I've been working as a bartender, working in the service industry for a while now, and one of the things I hate about bartending, or that turns me off from it, is like the competitiveness of it, and how people want to like compare with each other how much money they made. I hate that. I think it's ugly, and it's like, none of us is working that much harder than anyone else. Like, we're all kind of working at the same level, and the fact that we're like competing over crumbs, you know, or like, I hate the feeling of getting angry at people who are bad tippers, because like, I wasn't always a good tipper, and I didn't realize I wasn't. And why is it that way? Why is the system set up that way, that I can't do this job and make a living wage, so I have to depend on tips? And why does that lead to me having to be angry at a stranger because they only gave me $1 on like a $50 order, which is a shitty tip, you know, or whatever? And now going into trucking, one of the things that's already making my head explode is like, I can't bring myself to watch or read a lot of shit, like go on the Discord or whatever. I signed up for Discord. I'm probably not going to use it very much. Like, I don't use Facebook anymore, and I really am glad about that. That's one really positive thing. But like, if I'm, you know, watching a live stream and people are talking about money, I a lot of times want to just turn it off, because I can't let myself get in that headspace of constantly obsessing about money. And I know that that's just like what you do. You know, it's like, you're out there to make a living. You're not going to not talk about money or not think about it. But I think if I'm solely focused on that, and especially if I'm doing the compare and despair shit where I'm listening to someone else talk about how much money they're making, and I'm a brand new trucker, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing to begin with. I'm just out there trying to get started and get my feet wet and hope that I don't fucking cause any crazy catastrophic situations out on the road. I am not even in a position yet to really command much income or like, you know, sit there and go, well, I'm making this much money, because how much money is any brand new trucker really making, you know, unless they have some kind of a great hookup with a family member or something. I don't know. I got interrupted and had to cut off my video and start it again. Anyway, I feel like I will have to shut myself off from listening to other people talking about how much money they're making, or like, even I just was like messaging with someone that I was in CDL school with, and he was talking about how much money he was making and how it wasn't enough and stressing and da-da-da-da, and I was just like, I have to find ways to think about other stuff. I need to focus on money to a certain extent. Obviously, that's the whole fucking point. There's a lot of F-bombs in this video. Some people don't like that, and I don't care. Not too much. I mean, I care a little bit. Depends on the company. I think that spending a lot of our mental energy focused on money is really a shitty way to live life. And I wish we didn't need to do it or feel the need to do it. And like, it is very much an American thing to be that fixated on your job and to have your job be such a dominant aspect of your life, because it's not like that everywhere. There's a lot of places in the world where there's more emphasis on time spent with your family and time spent in leisure and like enjoying life. And it's so drilled into our brains from the time we're little that we need to make money, that we don't have personal value unless we're making money, and that everything that we will amount to in life is attached to a dollar sign and a number of zeros. And I hate that, and I think it's totally backwards. I probably haven't always been as hard of a worker in some respects as I could be, because I also really value things like spending time in solitude and nature, and, you know, paddleboarding. Spent a lot of hours paddleboarding over the last 10 years and just fucking off in the lake, man. Just being like a, you know, quarter mile or more off of the shore by myself, listening to music, paddling away, doing stuff like that that has nothing to do with money. And I ask myself, like, you feel guilty, or like, shouldn't I be doing something to make money? And it's like, why does that have to be so prominent? Why does that have to be such a big focus in your life? When it really comes down to it, what I think about a lot is most of us who are struggling, and like, so much of our mental energy is going into thinking about, worrying about, planning, all about money. But there's only a few of us who are actually really making money. And there's so many more of us who are just scraping by and fighting over crumbs. And I don't like it, because it makes me feel stupid and it feels like a waste of life. Anyway, I feel like this isn't the most eloquent and overly swear-y video. It's just stuff that's been on my mind. I don't even know if I'm going to post it now, because I'm like, was this really even useful content? But I'm trying to sort of introduce myself to a community out there and like establish myself. So, you know, here's some things I think about money. I fucking hate money. That's pretty much all I got to say. I hope this was interesting on some level. I would love some feedback, and I would love a like and a subscription. So please click that button for me. Smash that like button. Oh my God, I hate when people say that, even ironically. Isn't it annoying? Sorry for doing that to you. Anyway, whatever you're doing, I hope you're enjoying your life. I hope you're thinking about more than that bottom line, because there's so much more for us to appreciate in this life. And I hope you're feeling good. And, you know, I'll catch you on the next one.